All right, so at this point, you should have all of your parts made, you have your assembly put together, and then you have your exploded view. The next step is to make your sheets using the title block template. So making sure to save this. So if you've never saved it before, go to Save As and give it a title. So I just named it Cube Assembly. That's fine. And now I'm going to go to File, New, and I want to use the title block template. Create. The prompted entry will load up. So this is the Puzzle Cube project. The designer is going to be your name, and then whichever class period that you are in. So I'm going to hit OK, and it will autofill that information. I didn't put a class hour designer, and then currently we're on page 1 of 1. The file name is missing because there hasn't been any parts added to the sheet. Once a part has been added, the file name will also fill. So I'm going to take a look specifically at so it's pulling that assembly, or the exploded view rather, which is good. That's not really what I want right now. I just want to do a part, so I'm going to switch it over. And right now it's half scale. I'm going to scale it up to be 1:1. I think that fits the paper. Remember, this view is the front view. If the front view that is defaulted is not the view that you want, you can move it around in the view cube, but make sure that whatever front view you are wanting, you have that oriented correctly before you start placing the rest of your isometrics. So for me, this works. I'm good with this. So I'm going to do my top view, my right side, and then my isometric. Once that's done, I right click and say OK. Remember, your isometric needs to be shaded. So I double click the ISO, click on shaded. So if I hover over it, it'll say shaded, and say OK. So this looks good. The next step is going to the Annotate tab and dimensioning this out. So remember, with your dimension rules, these different views have specific rules for where the dimensions need to be oriented. So in my right side view, that's dedicated to the height of the part. My front view is dedicated to the width, and my top view is dedicated to the depth. So height, width, and depth, hence 3D. Now, my right side view is not quite done yet. I need to also include the dimension for this cube that is coming up off the surface. And then I also have this down here. I don't want to cross my dimension lines, so really technically this should be coming off the part like that. And I'm going to move this up just a smidge so I have a little bit more breathing room for my dimension. So there we go. So that's my first part. So you need to do that for your other 4 parts. Don't forget that we're adding sheets. So you're going to have 5, 6, 7 sheets for this project. So 5 parts, 1 for the assembly, and 1 for your exploded view with the parts list. So pretending I did my other 4 sheets for my parts, next I'm going to do the assembly. Puzzle cube, designer, whatever your class period is, say okay. All right, so these stack over here. Go to base. I'm going to find my assembly. That looks good. It's pretty small right now, so I'm going to scale this back up. Maybe 2:1, 1:1. That's better. Okay, place that in the center. This really does need to be shaded. It's much easier to see. And then I want to add my parts list. So I think the parts list, it can go in the exploded view, it can go in the assembly view. It really doesn't matter to me which sheet you put it on. With the assembly view, it is a little bit more compact and easier to see. So I could have my assembly off to the left, and then I can grab my parts list, which is underneath the Annotate tab. So parts list, and it's going to automatically assume that I'm talking about this assembly. So I'm going to say OK, and it gives me this outline of the box, so I can place that inside of there. And now I have my parts list. If I had some descriptors, that would also be included inside of there, but I'm not really needing that currently. So that's good for my parts list and my assembly. Back to place views, new sheet, same thing, add the title, add the designer, and then class period. Say okay. So now I can add my exploded view. You can orient this however you need it. I'm good with this. Say okay. Once again, this also needs to be shaded. And I think I would like to size this up a little bit. There we go. See if I can make it fit. It's going to be close. So how about maybe 1.5? Just trying to make it fit. I think 1.2 works. All right. There we go. So at this point, you should have all 5 of your parts dimensioned out. You'll have your assembly with your parts list, or you can put your parts list on this page. Like I said, I like it better with the assembly because it's a little bit better space. And then I have my exploded view here. Then you will just do like before and export it as a PDF. Name it Puzzle Cube Working Drawings, and then make sure you go to Options and select All Sheets, and then export and save your PDF and turn that in.